Fam, what's going on? Good evening. It's Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys joining us in the evening time. It is Tuesday. It is December 10th. I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope that everything is going your way this week, and if it's not, continue to power on through because Wednesday is almost here. All right, look, today on the evening show, we're going to recap the all-SEC team. A couple guys not on the list. I also have T up in the house. T.
Hello, everyone.
He's been working. We're putting in the hours. All right, that's good. All right, appreciate it. And we're going to talk about all SEC. Of course, we'll talk about the transfer portal targets that'll be in town this week. We'll cover some other topics that are headlining the world of college athletics right now, all tonight on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. 109 of you up in the house already. If you guys can hit the thumbs up on the actual video, I'm not sure why, but it helps the video's performance. And I appreciate you guys very much for being here. I have a lot of gratitude always in this space for you guys being here. We wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for you. And I encourage you to also please support all the great content creators that are out there, whether they cover Alabama football or college football in general. Big site, small site, please continue to show love to all the great content creators out there. They're doing their best. I know a lot of them personally, and they do an amazing job. So continue to support the great content creators, big or small. All right, so today the all-SEC team was released. We have three that are first-team guys. You have Ryan Hollywood Williams, of course, as a wide receiver. You have Tyler Booker, not surprised to see that. You have Malachi Moore at the safety spot, and you have Jahad Campbell at linebacker. Look, all great players and all who had great seasons. I mean, I'll go one by one with these guys. There was a couple guys that got left out. There's always going to be snubs when you're looking at the SEC and the elite caliber players and the teams that play in this conference. But you know, if you step back and look at Ryan Williams from an all-SEC standpoint, it really is amazing. And you could say, okay, maybe there was his season kind of tapered off there at the back end. Well, whatever. I mean, look at it from if you zoom out, the crazy thing about it was it was monumental how he played in big-time moments, right? I mean, the Georgia game, and I know Greg Sankey just recently tweeted out some stats about the viewership for Texas and Georgia being an absolutely like the ratings were through the roof. So much bigger that if you combine the ACC ratings and you combine the Big 12, it was bigger than that combined, right? So Ryan Williams stepping up in a big time game when there was 12 million watching Alabama and Georgia. That's why it's funny to always interact with these Georgia fans right now because they're so happy that Alabama didn't make the playoffs, right? And I'm like, man, you got to sleep on the fact that Jalen Milroe beat you not once, but beat you twice. And I was confident that if Alabama was to get in the playoffs, you know, who knows, right? You also have Tyler Booker. And I have to say this about Tyler Booker. If there was one person that really exemplifies and demonstrates what it is to be kind of have that standard and that mentality, it certainly is Tyler Booker. You could even say the same thing with Malachi Moore. I know Malachi Moore had his early stuff, you know, in Vanderbilt when they lost that game. But Tyler Booker, if you think about his career and what he's been able to do at Alabama, he started since his freshman season. And he's just been all class. He has handled adversity, and he's gone through a lot of adversity. He has been featured on a lot of different interviews, and he has handled all that stuff like a grown man, and props to him. He's going to be a wonderful addition to the NFL for some organization. And then Malachi Moore, I mean, this guy, you know what I'll remember about Malachi Moore, and Coach Saban said this, you're remembered for what you did in the Iron Bowl when you play at Alabama. Malachi Moore, his performance, that guy, if you know where his heart is, he left his heart at Bryant-Denny Stadium on Nick Saban Field. I promise you. If you agree, hit the thumbs up right now. That was unbelievable performance. And then Jahad Campbell, I think throughout the season, Jahad Campbell, to me, proved that he's a first-round draft pick. I don't know where he'll go in the NFL draft, but, man, I hope the 49ers would pick him up. I love Jahad Campbell, and I think he's going to be lights out in the NFL. And the great thing about Jahad Campbell is I think he's interchangeable within the defense. I think he could play inside if he wanted to. I think he could play outside, wherever. I think Jahad Campbell is just built different, and props to him. T, who were the people that were left off of the all-SEC team? There was a couple that made like second and third team. Do you remember that?
Yeah, So Devontae Smith made the third team, and Proctor made the second team.
Okay, all right. So look, not everybody's going to make the first team, whatever. But Devontae Smith, that guy battled, and one thing that I also remember about the Iron Bowl was when the Auburn Tigers tried to jump Devontae Smith, and it was Malachi Moore who came to his defense. The crazy thing is that each of those guys were penalized. Right, here's the full list right here of, let's see if we can get that on full screen. Here's the full list of the SEC first team all conference. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson was a monster. That guy, he might be one of, in terms of like having respect for a player, that guy absolutely did it this year. Let's see who else we got on here. Luther Burden didn't do much against Alabama, but the guy overall NFL talent for sure. Eli Stowers, that guy, he made some plays against Alabama, and he was a good target for Diego Pavia. As you see, Tyler Booker there at the guard position. Tate Ratledge for Georgia. He was injured when Alabama and Georgia played. I think he had the tightrope surgery. Let's see who else is on here that I liked. A couple guys. Jahad Campbell, of course, we talked about him. How about Trey Amos? And you think about Alabama's defense this season. What if they would look? And no disrespect to Xavier Brown, because Xavier Brown, that guy played as best as he could as a freshman. But you know what? I still feel that losing Trey Amos, because you would have had Trey Amos and Damani Jackson, and you could have worked in Xavier Brown and some of these freshmen. But Trey Amos is that guy. I mean, he's a very good football player, and I think he'll be very good in the NFL. Kind of lengthy. I'm excited to see. That's why I'm excited about Dejon Lee coming in, the 5-star from California. I think he's kind of similar to what Trey Amos brings in terms of a lengthy type corner that can battle with some of these taller wide receivers. And look, I want to put this out there too. There's a Facebook fake news page, and they said that Ryan Williams was hitting the transfer portal. He's not in the transfer portal. He just got a tattoo of the script A on his leg. As I always say on my shows, if you don't see an official story from like Tony Tsoukalas, Mike Rodak, Charlie Potter, Nick Kelly, those guys that are like the team reporters, it's not true. So those are the guys, were the first to scoop stories like that. And Ryan Williams, or like a Matt Zenitz, he's like the transfer portal king, or Hayes. Come on. Hey, the first person to break a Ryan Williams would be Hayes Fawcett, 100%. So he is not in the transfer portal. Promise you. If anything crazy like that was to happen, we would be going live for 48 hours straight. Also in the news today, and I bring this up because it definitely did seem like Alabama was in play to land the number one basketball player in the country from the class of 2025 in A.J. DeBansta. And from what I understand and from what I was reading today, DeBansta took an offer, an NIL deal. Now, this is just what I heard, what I read. I'm sure you guys saw the same article. $7 million. $7 million. And you think about this. DeBansta goes to BYU, $7 million, reportedly, right? And you also have Bryce Underwood, who's going to Michigan for, what, $14 million over 4 years, or is it 12?
That's like an average team's entire budget.
And those are where teams, the teams with the most money in the portal are going to win. I mean, BYU, but it's, you know what? I do have to say this while I'm talking about DeBansta. I think it says a lot about Nate Oates. I think it says a lot about Preston Murphy. And look, if the funds weren't there, they were at least in the mix. And I promise you, he thought about coming to Alabama. And it's still amazing to see what Nate Oates in his relatively new coaching staff, because a lot of his assistants are now getting picked up to go other places, what he's been able to do in such a short time. Please support the basketball team. Watch their games. That team is it. And they've been battling. They've been having a really challenging schedule. Don't give up on them if they drop a couple early ones, because nobody has a more difficult schedule than Alabama basketball. All right, so
where is that kid from, that DeBansta kid?
So DeBansta was originally from California. He then transferred to Maryland to go to a private school, and then he reclassified from 2026 to 2025, kind of similar to what Bryce Underwood did. So Bryce Underwood was supposed to be in 2026 and reclassified, and now he's the quarterback at Michigan, and that's what kind of catapulted. Think about this. With Bryce Underwood going from LSU to Michigan, you probably don't get Derek Meadows, right? So Derek Meadows, he wanted a quarterback. He wanted a 5-star quarterback. So that's why Alabama was able to land him as a cherry on top of signing day, right? So, anyways, that also in the news. Brett McMurphy, follow him on social media. He has some really good tweets. Breaks a lot of stuff. I think he might have broken the playoff bracket before the playoff bracket was released. He works for the Action Network. Some people have the scoop. This guy is one of them. T, can you read this? Are you seeing this?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, Executive Director Rich Clark says the commissioners will look at its 14 a better number starting in 2026 after they see the results of this playoff. How can we make it better? 14 teams is one of the options. Staying at 12 is another one of the options.
So, look, they're going to go to 16 teams. I don't know when this will happen. I think that it's just sooner or later they're going to get to 16 teams. They've been trying it. What we're doing right now is you're putting like you know when you go to like a really cold pool and you're standing there and you put like your legs in and then you start kind of getting in. That's what they're doing. They're trying to warm you up to the idea of 16 teams eventually being it. Because look, I don't agree with this. I think 16 teams is too many. I think it should be 12, but the best 12. But they can't do that because feelings would get hurt. Seriously. And the feelings are going to get hurt because if you go to the best 12, it might just be the 12 teams from the SEC. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And a team from the Big Ten and, you know, someone else. But since you have to satisfy the group of 5, since you have to satisfy the Big 12, you know what? Like if this format continues to stay the same with the same playoff parameters to get into the playoffs, who would have thought this? How about Alabama? You joined the ACC. Alabama, could you imagine Alabama in the ACC this year? Right? Or Alabama in the Big 12? I don't know. But usually teams are begging to get into the SEC. But now, because of the playoff parameters and the parity of the SEC, is that the best conference to play in, considering the playoff parameters to get in? It's not. Alabama fan, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Jeff, what's going on? Bama Moore, Daniel Adams, I appreciate you being here. Kyle Davis says Hope Simpson is the man next year for sure. Yeah, we that's the biggest question in the world right now. Is if the two things right now. So there's a fake news report going around that Ryan Williams hit the transfer portal. That's fake. There's also Ryan Williams, like some Snapchat guy. I mean, come on. I'm 41 years old. I have no idea what these kids are doing. I don't believe that stuff. And then there's also, is Jalen Milroe coming back next year? Jalen Milroe, when he decides, he will announce that. And we will bring that to you, you know, when that happens, whether he's leaving, staying. I promise you, we'll probably have 24-hour coverage because that will be such a big thing for Alabama football fans. Lance Hunter is saying need artificial intelligence with a lot of factors, crowd size, road games, viewerships. I think I saw too that pretty soon it could be, you know, AI that's just deciding the playoffs. Isn't that basically BCS? Right? We're going to the same thing. So, I don't know. I saw the BCS rankings and they looked pretty good to me. So, I wouldn't be mad at that. Who knows? People are going to be mad regardless. You can't make people happy. Like
the top 12 teams, I wouldn't be mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's a computer doing it, so I think.
But this is the problem, though. It's the Terminator, like Terminator 2. Has anybody seen that? When the robots and the people are fighting, because it's always going to be broken when people's opinions are picking the teams to get in the playoffs. You imagine the NFL was decided like this? It's ridiculous. There should be clear parameters, but there can't be clear parameters because, as Nick Saban said, the Mountain West is potatoes. And you have the SEC is, you know, beautiful oranges, right? And then you have the ACC, which is, I don't know, strawberries. And you're trying to make food that tastes good with all those elements. You can't because they don't go together, right? Will Smith and iRobot. That was a good movie. It was pretty weird. There was a lot of weird robot movies. List your favorite robot movie inside the comment box. T, what's yours?
Favorite robot movie?
Yeah, kind of like AI, robots. You know what movie really sucked? Like? WALL-E. Did you ever see? No. Oh my God, that movie was so stupid. It was weird how they did that. And another one that was weird. What was that one where the robots were living kind of in that internment camp?
District 9.
District 9.
That one was weird.
That one was too weird for me, too. The Happiest Gilmore just became a fan funder. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Did anybody like District 9? I'm sorry if I ruined it.
I have, like, mixed feelings. What does Her count as, like, a...
Her was weird.
It was so weird, but I liked it.
Yeah, oh, my goodness. That was weird. Real Steel.
Where he, like, falls in love with Siri, basically.
And what's that other movie? Tron? Did we like?
I didn't like that one, but it's a like cult classic, so I'm sure I'll get on. Yeah,
Terminator was amazing.
Terminator is great.
Terminator 2, come on. Coleslaw is like, bro, Wally was dope. All right, maybe I'll check out. Okay, so I'm willing to give things another chance. Okay. Her is weird. Don't watch Her.
And I think I like District 9 too, but I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, so.
All right. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Eddie Robinson, transfer stuff coming up here in a minute. We got 3 transfer portal targets that are coming in. I'm sure you guys already know who they are. They are Casey Concepcion out of NC State, Luke Hasz out of Arkansas, and Kelby Collins. We'll be talking about them here probably in like 10 minutes. So we're just, kind of going over the headlines of college football. Our evening shows are a little bit less informal. We want to interact with you, so we might throw out, movie topics or just, talk back and forth. So, and if you have questions for me, just please dump them inside the comment box. Honestly, it's easy to access. Oh, Short Circuit. Oh my goodness, Short Circuit. T has no idea what Short Circuit is. I know what Short Circuit is. That I like that movie. It was a little robot, and he would like roll around, and he had kind of like these tank type legs. It was kind of like on a conveyor belt legs, and he would go around, and then he became friends with these people, and then there was these other bad robots that were trying to kill him. It was crazy. How about RoboCop? No.
The Brave Little Toaster.
Brave Little Toaster was the Brave Little Toaster was a really good.
That was so good.
That was really good. Short Circuit was good, and Brave Little Toaster, that was good. All right. Here's the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year finalists. Let me ask you inside the comment box, if you had to vote, you have Coach of the Year. Who are you voting for right now for Coach of the Year? I thought I had my drink around here somewhere, but I guess it's not here. Coach of the Year, let's see. Oh, man, it's hard for me. I have a couple guys that I like on here. I like Kenny Dillingham, but I wouldn't give him a Coach of the Year. But I that's a new guy that I really like. I think I'm kind of like on the feelings about Rhett Lashley. I'm kind of like mad. That's why I couldn't vote in this award. My feelings would be sad. And I think I love, Army. So Jeff Monken, but not going to choose them. I think I'm going to go with Shane Beamer. If I had to vote, I think I'd go with Shane Beamer. Look, this guy's a little bit funky. But I think what he was able to do with South Carolina, specifically on the back end of the season, and when they came here to Alabama, they took it to Alabama. They were leading that game at one point in time. He was able to get Lenora Sellers to have a really good season. That team punched way above their belt, and they battled in the SEC. Arguably, he felt that they had a shot to be a playoff team. I think Greg Sankey did as well, along with Alabama and Ole Miss. Shane Beamer, I didn't think that they would be as good as they were this year, so I'd probably give the Coach of the Year award to Shane Beamer if I had to. Remember, they beat the ACC champs, right? I mean, so I think I'd go with Shane Beamer. Signetti from Indiana, I do like him, and I do respect what he did, but I think that they didn't really play anybody. So it's hard for me to give it to them. And then Notre Dame, kind of the same thing. If you're not playing a tough schedule, it's hard for me to really reward you for winning, 9, 10 games if you're not really playing anybody. Juwan, what's up, man? Juwan's saying that SMU would smoke Vandy. I think SMU would probably beat Vandy. I would love to see that game. I would love to see like SMU versus South Carolina. Daniel Adams also became a fan funder. I appreciate you, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's see. Frank is saying Blake Dowd is a punter preferred walk-on that committed for Alabama from the Colorado School of Mines. Yeah, I did see that the other night. I think you informed me there was a preferred walk-on, a punter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll add that to the list.
Yeah, I need to add him.
Sometimes punters are put on scholarship, sometimes they're not. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing that to attention because Alabama certainly needs a punter.
Blake Dowd is his
name. Yeah, with
from Colorado.
With James Byrne, I believe, which is so sad.
The Colorado School of Mines.
You know, yeah. You know what? I used to know them, and they have a good football team because they would play New Mexico Highlands, and that's the only.
Or what are they? The Ore something.
The Colorado School of Mines?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know their mascot. That would be.
Oh, come on! You know all the mascots.
I know all the. You know what? I know all the mascots
or something like that.
And I know all the flags. Like I love. So like.
Yeah, he's a huge flag
I'm a flag guy. So if you're in dire straits, listen up. If you ever need a lifeline, you find yourself on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they need some random ass flag. All right, you call me, and I will help you. Okay, whether it's the Philippines or whether it's I don't know,
like the most obscure country's flag.
Yeah,
ever.
I got you.
He's got you.
I promise you. Okay, so just keep that in your back pocket. Okay, transfer portal news. I appreciate you. Yeah, we have 111,000 subscribers. So that's why I wanted to do more live shows, because I have the morning crew, which can come on. And people work during the morning. So I wanted to come on and start adding some evening shows. Plus, I like kicking it with you guys. Transfer portal news. These are the guys that have entered the transfer portal. Are you surprised that there hasn't been more transfers that entered over the last couple of days? Right? I don't know. I think so. The transfer portal is open for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, like Keno was asking. I think people are wanting to know, is Milroe leaving? Is he staying? Milroe hasn't announced if he's staying or if he's leaving. I don't know. I think he has up until January to announce that. I would imagine that a couple more players hit the transfer portal, but I'm a little bit surprised that we're only at this point, which I think is a good thing. Because, look, Coach Kalen DeBoer working on roster management, the silver lining and not making the playoffs, don't get mad, is that you can work the roster a little bit more. You can spend time with the guys. You can keep your door open. You can talk about them. You could talk about next year, right? Kind of a rebuilding process as you continue closing out your first year here at the University of Alabama. Plus, you're getting up for the bowl game. And to be honest, a couple of these guys hurt. I mean, I've explained why, whether it be Caleb Odom or Kendrick Lar, whatever, but there hasn't been one just massive guy to leave. Like a massive guy last year was like a Caden Proctor. Obviously, he came back. Caleb Downs. Those were monumental losses, right? But I haven't really seen a guy that's oh my goodness. 3 receivers left. I think that, and that's why I ask you if you're kind of into, what does it mean? Well, 3 wide receivers left that didn't get the ball this year. Do they know something we don't? I don't know. All right. So guys who are visiting this weekend, you have Kelby Collins out of Florida, Gardendale, Alabama. Now he picked Florida over Alabama a couple years ago. You probably remember him. He was being recruited by Freddie Roach. 6'5", 278 pounds. Played in 6 games this past year. 23 tackles in 2023. And I was reading kind of some detail on him. And I think Billy Napier said he didn't really play too much this year because of competition. There were some guys that were a little bit better suited to play for the Florida Gators. And now he's hitting the transfer portal. I think in Alabama's defense, when you look at kind of the roster management, with LT Overton going to the NFL, and he hasn't announced that, I think it would be a good spot for Alabama to get Kelby Collins, right, out of Gardendale, Alabama. Come on back to Alabama, maybe make a run for that bandit position. Alabama would certainly need somebody right there. And we've been going kind of over the roster management. And when you look to that specific position, be that you're losing Jamarian Latham, LT Overton, you need somebody to fit in that spot. So he will be visiting this weekend as well. Let me get your interest inside the comment box on Kelby Collins. 10 the highest that you're absolutely need him. 7, you're yeah, pretty excited. Or kind of 3 to the 5 range, you're unsure, we don't really need him pass. Alabama super fan, I see you inside the comment box, man. That's what's up. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
He was asking earlier I think how to get your name in green, and you can do that by clicking the pin link.
Yeah.
And becoming a fan funder.
Yeah, ask your parents though, man.
Yeah,
because
I 18 and older.
I have a 12-year-old too, and if she signs up for, well, she buys movies.
Yeah.
She bought a movie on Amazon. No, they didn't even rent it.
Yeah, she thought she was renting it.
She bought it for like $18.
What was the movie again? It was something crazy too.
What was it? What? She's into 80s movies. Was it Outsiders?
No, it was a horror movie.
No.
I think it was. I don't know.
We'll get back to you on that. All right. Okay. So people showing some good interest on Kelby Collins. I think people are excited about him because clearly they know the bandit position that Alabama, needs somebody to come in. Also coming in this weekend, you have Concepcion. All right. Now, he is the number 2 player in the transfer portal. One of the things that I do like about On3 in their interface is they have transfer portal rankings. Like, I'm not gonna lie, their website is ahead of the curve, right? And they have rankings of all these guys. So he is number 2 out of the, I think, what did we say today? There was 1,200 people in the transfer portal, which is crazy. So this guy's number 2. So this is like an absolute must get, right? You're thinking. He's a sophomore wide receiver, so he'll be a junior next year. 5'11", 187 pounds in 2024, 53 receptions, 460 yards with 6 touchdowns in 2023, 64, 767, 10 touchdowns, kind of similar to Ryan Williams. Has a lot of speed. His highlight tape reminds me of Noel Devine because nobody can tackle him. Played in the ACC, but does Alabama need another wide receiver? We're still waiting on Jeremy Bernard. You have Jalen Hell, who will be back. Ryan Williams, who will be back. How you guys feeling in terms of, do you want Concepcion? Do you want him like a 10? 8? I'm not going to lie. I watched his highlight tape, and I'm in. If they're able to bring him in and they can make it work, hey, Byron, what's up, man? I see you. So Touchdown Alabama, I would imagine, is projecting KC to A&M. That's the other thing, too. I mean, you're going to have to battle. And that's something that Courtney Morgan said, is that recruiting, and I would imagine recruiting in the transfer portal, think about all the teams you're going up against. Man, Texas A&M, Texas. Those 2 schools alone can offer so much from an NIL perspective. Jarvis, I love that, man. KC Reception. Frank became a fan funder. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Think of Bama football on YouTube. It's in-house. Like, we do all the graphics here. We're not, funded by a big organization. Literally just content creation here. So I appreciate it so much, and thank you very much. This is what I do for my livelihood, and I really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. And we take pride in putting the graphics together, and we put a lot of detail in it. T does a great job, and I put a lot into the graphics too. I want you guys to have something good to look at, so I appreciate it. Okay, so Daniel Adams is saying 10 as well. So a lot of people really excited about him. And that's the thing about, I think, with KC, which gets me excited about, is when you have a different quarterback that comes in next year and that can maneuver the offense schematically the way that I think Coach Kalen DeBoer eventually envisions it. I think that a lot of these wide receivers are going to get fed. Now, maybe we can put up a graphic for tomorrow, T. We could write this down. I don't think we had time tonight to do it. But did you see this? I saw it. Former Alabama running back Damian Harris, who, by the way, is a very good analyst. He speaks very well extemporaneously. T hates when I use that word, but it's kind of like it's not scripted. I always thought he could do media. But anyways, he said that he feels that Jalen Milroe should not go to the NFL, but rather he should transfer because he says that he's not ready for the NFL and that Kalen DeBoer and Jalen Milroe in this current marriage that they have is not working out, and sometimes relationships don't work out, so he should go get a fresh start and move on and transfer. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Fire everybody up. But that's out there. Just type in Damian Harris on Jalen Milroe. I saw that this afternoon. Now, the third prospect that is visiting Now, the third prospect that is visiting is Luke Hasz. He is a transfer portal target from Arkansas. Number 3 transfer portal tight end. Sophomore, so he'd be a junior, 6'3", 241 pounds. In 2024, 26 receptions for 324 with 3 touchdowns. Alabama needs a tight end. They're losing Robbie Oots, they're losing CJ Dupree, and they're losing Danny Lewis. They are returning Josh Cuevas, and I think that Luke Hasz would be a fantastic complementary piece to the offense with Josh Cuevas. I think Luke Hasz, think of Luke Hasz as similar to CJ Dupree, because CJ Dupree is athletic, but where I think this guy has a little bit more upside, and not to say that CJ Dupree wasn't physical, because I do think he has physicality. All these tight ends do. Watch this guy's highlights. You will be really impressed. I think, look, if Alabama doesn't get KC, I don't think it's like, oh my goodness, everything's going wrong. But you'd be really excited if you got Luke Hasz, 100%. I did not see that on Eddie Lacy. No, I did not see that. Man, that is, we'll look into that, and I did not see that. But Luke Hasz is a guy that I think you should really be excited about in terms of a tight end that Alabama certainly needs. So those are the 3 transfer portal targets that will be in Tuscaloosa this weekend. In other transfer portal news, you have 2 players that hit the transfer portal from Alabama that will be visiting Colorado. I don't know if it's this weekend, but soon. And that's Jaheim Otis, right? Defensive lineman. And you have Caleb Odom. Now, with Caleb Odom, I saw that it could be Ole Miss is making a run at him, Lane Kiffin. But it kind of makes sense if he wants to team up with Juju Lewis, his former quarterback when he was in high school, right? Back in Carrollton, Georgia. So that could make sense in terms of the connection there. Tony's asking who Casey is. He must have came in a little bit late. But Casey Concepcion is a wide receiver out of NC State. Think of a slot-type wide receiver that is very physical. So kind of picture like a Cole Adams and a Kobe Prentice, that position, but like very difficult to tackle because of his playmaking ability after the catch. But Caleb Odom and Jaheim Otis visiting Colorado, I think that's interesting. I would imagine, I haven't seen any predictions, but I could totally see it making sense with Caleb Odom going to Colorado. We talked about this earlier today. We won't run through it again, but we talked about kind of some superlatives following this season. And tomorrow we'll do this on the defensive side of the ball for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think we all came to the, I think we're in agreement that the MVP was Milroe. Position group was running back. The surprise offensive player was Ryan Williams. Best offensive transfer. Who do we say that was? Was it Brailsford or was it Bernard?
Counted.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Yeah. So I think we said it was Bernard. It was Bernard. Yeah, it was Bernard as the best transfer. Best freshman was Ryan Williams. Offensive assistant was Jamarcus Shepard, and then the best offensive play of the year was Ryan Williams. I guess both of his catches against Georgia early on in the season. Now, we have no detail into any of this, but kind of people that, if you looked at the roster, and we'll show you some roster management right now, people that I think everybody's looking at in terms of, will this guy go? Would it make sense to go? Maybe like a Dylan Lonergan, a Justice Haynes, a Richard Young. I mean, we'll show you the running back right now room. It's very healthy. Keon Keeley, people, I'm not the only one saying this stuff. Will these guys leave? I don't know. Would it make sense for them to stay and go? Possibly, if you look at both sides of the coin. Like a Dylan Lonergan. Is he going to be nobody's been mentioning him next year. It's either Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell or Austin Mack. Not saying he's a bad quarterback. It's just, does he fit in this system? Maybe. Transfer portal needs, I guess they need a wide receiver too, which is kind of surprising to me. I don't think they necessarily need a wide receiver, but hey, I'm not going to get mad if they bring in Casey Concepcion. You have a right tackle. They absolutely need this position. Defensive tackle, 1,000,000%. Inside linebacker, I guess an edge rusher as well, or like a bandit position player. That's why people are excited about Kelby Collins coming in. Tight end, 100%, and then offensive guard. So I would like to see Alabama take 2 from the offensive line. Let me show you real quick a couple graphics that kind of illustrate where Alabama is in terms of the position right now and how it could look in 2025. I think we have almost to the defensive line built, and this is a continued work in progress, all right? Tony's asking if Alabama needs a new defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. I'm going to say no. I mean, if Grubb was to come back, I would love for Grubb to be that guy, to be the offensive coordinator. That's not going to happen. I kind of want to see another year with a different quarterback and then make an assessment based off that philosophy, because I think they're doing stuff strictly off Milroe's skill set. Here's the quarterback room right now. Here's a quarterback in 2025 if Milroe goes. Ty Simpson, Lonergan, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell. Good quarterback room. I think a lot of people are really excited about Keelan Russell, curious and intrigued about Austin Mack. He's got the size. This guy came in one game and threw a touchdown pass. Ty Simpson's been here for a while. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. Just the way it works out, right? The running back room. That's why I say, will a running back transfer? Yes or no inside the comment box. Look at the room. I mean, Richard Young barely got the ball this year. Jan Miller's coming back. As far as we know, Justice coming back. I mean, that's limited carries for a lot of these guys. And these guys can be starters anywhere else in the country. I think you got to think that a running back hits a transfer portal. Don't like to talk about these things because, you want to see them all play for the Crimson Tide. I just think you got to think that one of these guys hits the transfer portal, especially with AK Deer coming in. And who's to say that maybe they told Jace Clarizio, think about this, maybe they told him, hey, like, maybe you should stay at Michigan State in part because they knew that they were bringing in Derek Meadows. You ever think about that? Yeah. I mean, how much NIL money do you really need? I mean, I'm sure Jace wasn't going to come for free. What's up, Robert? I appreciate you being here, man. That's a strong running back room. Here's the Alabama tight end room now, right? 3 guys leaving. C.J. Dupree, Robbie Oots, Danny Lewis. Next year's tight end room. And maybe you bring in, Luke Hasz from Arkansas. Josh Cuevas, Jay Lindsey, Ty Lockwood, Caleb Edwards, Marshall Pritchett. Watch Pritchett's highlight tape and tell me if you think he's going to be a receiver here at Alabama, or do you think he'll bulk up and he'll be a 6'6" tight end, which he very well could be. And look, Josh Cuevas, man, I said that I was really impressed. I didn't expect him to be as good as he was this year. Not to say he was like all-world tight end, but he made plays. I remember the play that he made against Wisconsin. I think he made a one-handed catch against Auburn. Guy could play. Caleb Edwards really talented as well. Jay Lindsey, I think, will be similar to Robbie Oots. Maybe, I was going to say a little bit more athletic, but, man, Robbie's a G, man. That kid's good. Here's the Alabama wide receiver room right now. Kobe gone. Kendrick gone. Caleb Odom gone. Cole Adams gone. And I know you're like, those aren't all the wide receivers. I know. Here's the wide receiver room next year. I'll go full screen because there's a lot of guys to look at. Jeremy Bernard, we put a stamp like NFL question mark. We don't know. Ryan Williams. I was saying earlier, too, I'm going to be really sad that Ryan Williams is growing up. Right? Aren't we going to be sad about this? Zach is saying that you need to get rid of Nick Sheridan and Kane Womack. Man, we went back and forth on that so many times, right? It's just, and we see that with Coach Kalen DeBoer too. People are like, it's only been 1 year. We went up and down. I think the inconsistencies led to them also missing the playoffs. I mean, it didn't seem like. Think about this. What's concerning about Womack is the fact that the Vanderbilt game and the Oklahoma game. How many games were in between that, T? Can we look that up? How many games were between Vanderbilt, which I think off the top of my memory was October 10th, and Oklahoma? Because with Kane Womack, and I know I have a receiver graphic up, but I was thinking about this. Oklahoma didn't even have really an offensive coordinator, and they were still able. How much? There was 5 weeks between Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. And Oklahoma did a lot of the same things that Vanderbilt did. And they were effective. Now, Hugh Freeze just coached a bad game. But did you see who Auburn's in play for? For quarterback? Did you see this? Jackson Arnold, the quarterback from Oklahoma. And guess where this stupid game is next year? It's in the haunted barn. Is that not terrifying? This is terrifying to me. The worst news that happened today was that Jackson Arnold is favored to go to Auburn. Nobody's talking about it, but that scares me to death. Alabama superfan, I'm unsure of that at that point in time. I would imagine as we go over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be guys that, come to Alabama to visit and eventually come to the transfer portal. I mean, Coach DeBoer, his hit rate in the transfer portal was really high. We talked about that earlier today, right? He did a really good job working the portal. Think about the guys who he brought in right away. Parker Brailsford, Jeremy Bernard. He brought back Caden Proctor, Graham Nicholson, right? The field goal kicker. Keon Sabb. There was a couple other guys that didn't play, but for the most part, he had a really high hit rate. The wide receiver room right here, Emmanuel Henderson will be a vet. Rico Scott got a little, his feet wet this year. Cole Adams, he'll be healthy. Jaron Hamilton, Jalen Hell, he'll be happy and healthy. Bubba I was gonna say because I started mixing Hell and Hampton. Bubba Hampton, we forgot about him. Amari Jefferson, Latsier Brooks, Derek Meadows. I mean, look. That's why I wouldn't be really mad if KC decided to go somewhere else. Like, I think he'd be fine at the wide receiver position. There's so many guys in here. Specifically, Jalen Hell. That's going to be a hell of a comeback story when he gets back on the field. Here's a look at the Alabama offensive line room right now. You had major issues on the right side. Even at guard, you really did. Jaden Roberts, I guess he just wasn't healthy. And Elijah Pritchett and Welcome Formby, they didn't perform up to the standard. That doesn't mean they can't get to the standard, but they underperformed. That's why I think you need a right tackle. Because if these guys can't develop, then you need to have somebody else there because it was huge liability all year. And it affected the offense.
Transfer portal close the 28th?
Yeah.
Matt was asking.
Yeah, the transfer portal, you can look up the exact date, but yeah, there's still several weeks for the transfer portal. And Daniel, I think that's good about asking about Nick Sheridan being the offensive coordinator, specifically here at Alabama. Think about this. He was a tight ends coach at Washington. That's a big jump. And I know he was the offensive coordinator a couple years ago at Indiana, but I think we have a right to be like, are you ready for a job of this magnitude, to work with the players of this caliber, future NFL type players? I don't know. But he'll have an opportunity. That's why I want to see him work the offense with a different quarterback and then kind of make an assessment. Here's the offensive line next year. Caden Proctor, he's coming back. For those of you that think he has to go to the NFL, he can't. He has to have another season here, right? Left tackle. Parker Brailsford, imagine he comes back. I list Jaden Roberts as coming back, right? He just didn't have the season that I thought he would have. Elijah Pritchett, Welcome Formby, Olas Allanen, Joseph Ionita, Rock Montgomery, Casey Poe, William Sanders, Gino Vandermark, Michael Carroll coming in, DeBose, Mal Waldrop, and Jackson Lloyd. Over who?
Roberts.
No, not for right now. Let me ask you this, fam. Out of this graphic right here, build your best offensive line for 2025. Let's think about this for a second, okay? Okay, T, if you could just type this out in like one long row. Type in left tackle, Caden Proctor. Who do you guys think plays left guard next year? Starts at left guard. Do you think they could switch Jaden Roberts to left guard? Drewski's saying put Proctor at right tackle. Okay, I'm not mad at that. I'm open. Samuel's like, is it August 30th already? Right? Let's fast forward to that Florida State game. Your center be Parker Brailsford. Could Michael Carroll? Do you put Michael Carroll at left guard as a freshman or right guard? See, you're going to have the same issue at tackle. I don't know. It's hard to think about building an offensive line right now. I mean, you can. Gino Vandermark, right? Could you put Proctor at left tackle? Could you put Gino Vandermark at left guard? Could you put Brailsford at center, right guard Roberts, and see if Carroll can play tackle? I have no idea if he can play tackle. I haven't even heard anyone say that. You need a tackle, period. Yes, Robert, you're right, man. I see you inside the comment box. Let's see what Bentley Boy is saying. Proctor, Carroll, Brailsford, Roberts, Formby. See, issue at right tackle. It's the same thing, right? You're running the same problem. I don't know, something to chew on. Okay, let's continue. Defensive line, I think this is we're up to this point. So you have Jaheim Otis visiting Colorado. You have Hunter Osborne. Those guys are transferring. Here's a look to next year's defensive line. Tim Keenan, James Smith. Won't Tim Keenan be a senior next year? Yeah, we need to update that. I'm going to find him, T. Tim Keenan's going to be a senior. James Smith.
I don't think I touched this.
Yeah, you didn't because, James Smith needs to graduate. Yeah.
I just,
It's okay. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
James Smith, he's a baller. Damon Payne, like him. Edric Hill, haven't seen too much of him yet. Isaiah Thega, Jeremiah Beeman, London Simmons coming in. Steve Mbua, excited about him. But this is where you need somebody. I think you need somebody right here. You probably need another tackle here, like a DT, a big defensive tackle. But this is where I get a little bit nervous, and we haven't updated this graphic yet. We're going to work on this tomorrow. But the bandit position, this is where Kelby Collins could fit in, right? This guy who's visiting from Florida. Because you're losing Jameer Latham. You're losing LT Overton. This Keon Keeley experiment, is this going to work out or not? And Jordan Renaud, he's good. He can play, but you need somebody else to come in here. That's why I think you need a bandit position type player. So as I just showed you, it's not hard to see. You need a right tackle 100%, and you need a bandit player, and you need a defensive tackle. Bentley Boy's like, we need everything. Alabama superfan, he asked a great – I started thinking about this, about Deontay Lawson. Let's ask the poll. Let's ask the chat. Who thinks that Deontay Lawson is coming back? Here's your inside linebackers. We haven't updated the Wolf position, and we haven't updated the inside linebacker. So we can't – so if you want to look at inside linebacker right now, where I think you need another transfer here too. But then I started thinking what Alabama Superfan is asking. So let me ask you, T, will you post this inside the comment box? Do you think that Deontay Lawson is coming back next season? Remember, he got injured. And with that said, I still think he started getting a little bit overshadowed by Jahad Campbell. Maybe he comes back. Alabama look, this would be monumental news if Deontay Lawson announced that he's coming back, because if he doesn't, you're losing Campbell, Jefferson. I wouldn't be mad if you have Deontay Lawson and Justin Okoronkwo starting. What's the early take on the poll?
% think he's coming back.
I started thinking he was coming back lately too because of the injury. Interesting. That would be monumental. And the other one too, think about, okay, if Deontay Lawson comes back, and then we always talk about this one too, can you put it like a question mark on Damani? Because if he comes back and then you got Deontay Lawson coming back, it's starting to cook a little bit, right? Got to fill in a couple spots. I kind of feel that Damani Jackson played well enough this year to go to the NFL, but I don't know. I'm torn on. These are the 3 players I'm torn on. 4. I don't know about Milroe. I used to feel like really confident. Now I don't know. Jeremy Bernard, I don't know. Damani Jackson, I don't know. And Deontay Lawson, now I don't know. I don't know if those players will leave us or, come back. And did we put it on green? Yeah, I like that green color. Yeah. Xavier Brown, so good for a freshman. Wild. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Daniel Adams says, who else used the bandit woof in that crap? No one. I know. I had to get used to it as well. But as we continue, throughout the week, we're continuing to break down roster management. When we pull up these graphics, that's what we're talking about, like roster management, and give you a better illustration of what the roster is looking like as players transfer out, new names potentially come in, and think about this. We just went through signing day. We went through the playoffs. Now we're in the transfer portal. So the roster is always shaping. And I think when you look at this, it gives you a better illustration of like where Alabama's specific needs lie. That's why we like to run through this. But as you know, as news happens, we got you covered here on Bama Football on YouTube. So whether it's, a video you see from us, we appreciate you guys. If you guys can continue to hit the thumbs up on the video. Appreciate you guys becoming fan funders. Our normal morning show is at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, Central Time. It's, we go over the news, the notes, kind of the top headlines. And then we've been kind of in a beta phase testing some of these evening shows because we understand that a lot of people can't make the morning show. So we want to kind of come back in the evening time to kind of wrap things up before the next day. We appreciate all the feedback, and we try to read as many comments as possible. And maybe tomorrow night, what we'll do too is we might have kind of an open mic night. And what I mean by that is we'll take do a Q&A, maybe 20 minutes of my opening segment, and then if you guys have questions or thoughts, 30 minutes of that. So we'll go back and forth. And I usually try to keep them around an hour. My morning podcasts or my morning shows are uploaded as podcasts to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. All you got to do is type in Bama Football on YouTube. We also have a very popular Facebook channel, which is called Bama Football on YouTube. So, a lot of different areas for you guys to interact, but we appreciate you guys, watching our show. Austin's asking before I go, are you assuming that LT Overton declares? Yeah, I gotta think so. I'm feeling. I think if I was to ask, what are they saying on Deontay Lawson now, T?
66% think he'll be back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel like LT Overton's gonna go. I think he had a strong enough season to go to the NFL. Maybe I'm wrong. If you get LT Overton, if you get Deontay Lawson, if you get Damani Jackson, all those guys to come back, that would be gigantic. But, And according to Coach Kalen DeBoer, a couple nights ago, he's not expecting a lot of guys to opt out, which I think is also promising. Two things that I think are promising. Number one, the amount of people, or the lack thereof that have hit the transfer portal from Bama. You haven't really had a lot of big, major guys hit the portal. And the other thing, too, is you haven't had, opt-outs. So we'll track it all as it happens. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for rocking with us tonight. Tonight is Tuesday, December 10th. Have a beautiful night. Get some really good rest. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. So blessed to have you guys on. Robert Mahan, man, please, dude, you got to put that graphic, but the avatars of 49ers, man. I look forward to seeing that every single show. I appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful night. Stay blessed. Sleep well. And I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Have an amazing night, and thanks for joining the show. Until next time, my friends. Talk.